As if he didn't have it tough enough in a wheelchair from 3 surgeries, 66-year-old Celedonio Cabrera was a target for 2 young, apparently heartless thieves. Cabrera is just finding out his mid-afternoon ordeal 2 weeks ago outside his apartment building was recorded on the security cameras, and it may be tough to watch. Watch closely as he's attacked in his motorized wheelchair, first by one young man who runs up to him and hits him so violently that he falls out of the wheelchair onto the ground, where the assault continues. You can see the victim trying to defend himself, swinging his fist at his attacker, even though he clearly is at a disadvantage, and the robber gets away with his wallet. Believe it or not, it all happened in the middle of the afternoon, just after the lunch hour, and police believe the 66-year-old man was the victim of a gang of thieves that target people who ride the Metro Rail. In fact, the victim tells Local 10 he had just gotten off the Metro Rail train at the station a couple of blocks from his apartment. And what may be most alarming about the crime is that after the first attacker takes off with the victim's wallet, watch as this second young man appears in camera range and runs in to attack the victim again. This criminal rips the victim's chain right off his neck. Disturbing video that some at the Metro Rail station today say reflects cowards on the prowl.
Cowards.
You think they're cowards?
Cowards. Need to do something about them. But if they're on the Metro Rail, they'll be
fired after being caught on camera striking and throwing a special needs student out of his wheelchair. A 23-year-old high school security guard is getting support from an unexpected place. Students at Oakland High School in Northern California are petitioning for the guard, Marshall Mitchell, to be reinstated. That despite his violent attack on Francisco Martinez, who suffers from cerebral palsy. The teens say that because Martinez spat at Mitchell, his actions were justified. But the school district is not budging. They maintain Martinez is the only victim here and that there is, quote, no conceivable scenario under which Mitchell will work at the school again. Mitchell has pleaded not guilty to charges of felony corporal injury to a child. He is set to appear at a pretrial hearing later this month.
A wheelchair-bound Canadian man has had a fractured skull after a savage attack in Sydney's west overnight. The 35-year-old was waiting for a train at Mount Druitt when 2 youths began harassing him. He tried to leave but was cornered in a lift. He was punched in the face so hard he was knocked backward out of his chair. The 2 attackers then returned several times to beat him with metal bars.
He's been through a lot in his life and he doesn't deserve what's happened again.
A 16-year-old has been charged with robbery offences. Police are still hunting the second attacker.
Welcome to another edition of the Filipino College Educator. A gentleman named Kenny, who is in a wheelchair, had asked me to do some sort of skills with the Karambit being in the top position, or what we call the Sak-Sak position. Kenny, this is for you, so I'm going to show you a couple of things that could work. I don't know what your abilities or disabilities are, so we're just going to take it from me in this seated position as I am, or as you would be in a wheelchair. You had requested to see some sort of skill with the Karambit being up. One of the first things I want to make sure you do is discover where you want this Karambit to be, because once you sense a threat, it has to be already available for you. I don't know how your wheelchair is created, but whether it's going to be somewhere on your wheelchair, or if it's something that's going to be on your lap, or if it's going to be something that's underneath the leg that you can conceal but get ready to deploy if needed. So we're just going to take it from the position of already being out, and then the threat is being discovered. So based upon the videos that you saw in the introduction of this, you see what ends up happening. The only way that a person's going to be coming towards you is by grabbing you or trying to take your wheelchair and then pushing you to the ground. Well, we'll take it from the frontal position first, and we'll take a look at what possibilities you can do having your Karambit already out. I'm going to be using a terminology from previous videos that I have on the Filipino College Educator known as tendon termination. So the only way that they're going to grab you is obviously everything's going to be close quarter. So what I want to end up doing here is attack the limbs of the person, because he's obviously going to try to grab. So I want to take the tendons out. So it's going to look like this. So if the attacker ends up coming in, one of the very first movements I want to do is want to use my other hand to parry that. If he's trying to punch me, I want to go ahead and make sure I direct that. So I want to go ahead and take the tendon. So I'm taking my karambit from the Sak-Sak position from here, cutting towards here, cutting towards my tricep from here. And what I already have as an advantage is taking the tendon out. So that will take this arm out. When I take this, this enables him to grab, open or close from here. If I go to the bicep, that's perfectly fine. Now that enables me to make sure that he can't bend his arm, okay? So from here, I'm taking the bicep or the tendons, cutting from here, and now I'm going to go right to that tricep. Once I turn him, then I just transfer right to the knee, okay? If I have that opportunity to move back off my wheelchair, then go ahead and move back. You just never know what type of other multiple attackers are going to end up attacking you. All right, another way is if I don't get that karambit out in time and I go to the outside, nothing changes. I can go ahead and take the outside of it from here, make that cut, and then go right to the knee, because he's got to come towards near you because he's the threat. If he wants something, he's got to come to me. From here, I'm going to go ahead and make that cut. All right, now notice, why do I not use any strikes to the neck or from here? Well, I don't want to end up reaching or anything. And another thing is, if I'm going to kill this guy, so-called, which I really don't want to do, I want to stop the threat, is I've got to be able to articulate why I went there. And in some states and some laws, the way that you articulate that is going to be extremely important. So do what you feel that you need to do based upon your right of self-defense. Did you feel that you needed to go there? So for me, when I teach my students, I don't want to end up killing this guy, because somewhere down the line I'm going to have to express myself in court and I have to articulate why I did, especially if I know the skills that I have. So I want to make sure that when I tell my students, I have to learn to stop the threat. So if the punch is coming in, if I take this out, and take that out, now he can't walk, now he can't bend, now he can't grasp, I can get him out. If you have that ability to use your legs, which I don't know, then kick him off there from there, get him off there. Get off from you. But those are two basic ones I want you to work. The other, again, coming from this side, inside the tendon, or if I'm back here and I can keep this out, take that bicep out, move that arm, take that out, and notice where it fits perfectly. As soon as I go to this tricep, I just go straight down and then I make this cut right across. The other one is if I'm here and that punch ends up coming in, from here, I can just go right straight to the tricep. As I go straight to the tricep, I go right to the knee immediately from there. All right? If the other possibilities, if they end up grabbing me already, and they're doing this, what we like to use the term of fillet. Take your karambit and you just fillet him straight across from there. Then clear that hand, and then make the cut to the knee. So one more time. He grasps, he's telling me, take this out immediately. This is the threat, not him, so I don't want to reach. If I end up reaching, he can counter that by grabbing that, and now I'm a little bit more in trouble than I was before. So take the threat, whether it's here, fillet that arm, cut that bicep off, and if I have to, I can go immediately right straight to the knee. That's one option. I can fillet that, cut that, get that off, and cut the tricep, and then go right to the knee. So what I've shown you is just a couple of options that you have based upon your request of having the karambit and having the karambit in the Sak-Sak position or the pointed up position from there. Hopefully this helps you out. If you have any other questions, again, feel free to get on Filipino Kali Educator and text me from there, and then I'll be able to respond. Go ahead and make sure you subscribe to Filipino Kali Educator and evade the blade 55.